Now, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, no, I'm doing this meeting here from my cabin up in Vermont. So I tend to, when I have my kids sort of week on, week off. So when I don't have my kids, I tend to come up and work up here in solitude. So I'm kind of working where Jay and Joe normally exist. And that's and they live up in Maine and up in rural Maine. So
In the woods.
deep in the woods, especially Jay, deep in the woods. Joe is the city slicker in Portland. So, well, number one, I wanted to welcome the Georgia loan officers, Marshall, Crystal, and Jim. And I wanted just to quickly turn to you guys a little bit. You guys got trained last week, and Lori got trained last week as well. So welcome, Lori from New York. I almost said New Jersey. Awful. I think New Jersey would be like the last place I want to hire loan officers. I don't mind Long Island, who like does loans in New Jersey, but New Jersey loan officers are just a little too much. So, but what I want to do is I just want to go to Lori and the rest of the team just to introduce yourself, just to say a couple things about your experience in your training last week. And kind of go from there. So why don't we start with Lori? Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, my name is Lori Malley. I am from Long Island, New York. Actually, my training has been fantastic. I honestly really enjoyed meeting everybody last week. Everything that Terry had really told us about you guys and how fantastic everybody was and friendly and welcoming was exactly the experience that we got. It was nice to see everything just very structured. Just very, realistic underwriting for us. Just certain aspects that I think we weren't used to where we came from. So far it's been a great experience. I know we're really looking to come and visit hopefully next month at some point, maybe, just to be able to meet everybody in person. But it's really been great. And I look forward to getting to know everybody better and putting some loans in soon, hopefully. I can't hear.
You're muted, Rick.
There you go. Come on back, Rick.
Lori, how long have you been in the business? Just share a little bit about that with where you were coming from.
So I came from banking business. So I had been working for the credit union for about 16 years. So I had a lot of experience with other consumer loans and stuff. So this is a little bit of a new avenue for me, but I am really looking forward to working with Terry and really mastering the concepts of doing mortgages and all of that. Yeah.
So Terry's the manager in Long Island, and she's actually getting married this Friday. So she's going to be sort of an exciting week for her and for the team. So Marshall, why don't we start with you next down in Georgia? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Marshall Brooks, and I got into business. Actually, Jim hired me in April of 1996. He and I worked together for a brokerage, and then I left the brokerage and went to Unity Mortgage. Jim and I worked together there, and that's where I started doing FHA and 203Ks and rehab loans and everything up there. So I kind of got my training, the hard training in mortgage with Jim and those guys at Unity. I left and went to Countrywide and stayed over there, and I run a branch over in Woodstock, and actually did on-site in a Remax here in Georgia. So we did a desk agreement and started in Remax. And then I left there and I actually got my real estate license, and we started Your Home Superstore in the malls here in Georgia in the Simon Mall. So we had 7 locations and about 80 agents. And we trained our agents from the mortgage side. So I actually certified them as mortgage professionals to where they could actually pretty much run with it from A to Z, which was very unique. And then I went to Wachovia before Wells Fargo bought them. So when Countrywide shut down, we moved to Wachovia, then to Wells Fargo. And a few years ago, I took a sabbatical, got out of the mortgage business, and went to Cabela's and was selling Ranger boats and working in the Cabela's here for the last few years. And Jim called me back at Christmas. He goes, "Hey man, we're going to put the band back together, and we're gonna get this together and start a Woodstock office again." And so I was thrilled. So it's always good working with Jim. He's a great leader and a great manager and stuff. So we're really excited to be on board with you guys, and and with all the products and everything. But I was totally impressed with Rod and with every aspect, from underwriting and everybody there at the home office, just wonderful. And so we come back super excited. So today we've been behind. I think I want to win the thickest file, though. I got to show you this thing. Is that Jim and I probably should have charged by the page, but hey, when you got self-employed, big money makers and movie producers and all this kind of stuff, we're going to be throwing some crazy stuff in there. But I'll tell you one thing, we're super excited with the process, everyone behind us, the support we're going to be getting, and to be able to offer all these products. So, all these years of business, finally happy to find a home and in a good place with you guys at Shamrock. So appreciate you guys putting us on, and we look forward to this.
That's great. That's great, Marshall. Welcome aboard. That's great. That's quite a file. That's
You see my C5B back here?
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I actually built all 50 of those. So before I got in the mortgage business, I was a A&P mechanic and worked at Lockheed. So I keep the C5B back here. I love to fly. I still fly C-130s and stuff and all that stuff, but that's kind of my background. But I'm
That's
kind
great.
of jealous of Lori's. I think those wine bottles, I think you got the back art for everybody beat, Lori. You're just killing it with the wine bottles. Yeah, that's awesome. Good job. Good choice for
I
backdrop.
definitely think yours is better.
Yeah, Marshall, in Western Massachusetts at Westover Air Force Base, you see the C5s fly over, and they just they're so slow.
That's where this one's from.
They just glide.
Yeah, I took this picture. Gosh, I want to think probably back before like 1990, and it was a great shot of it. We actually was out on the flight line and took that shot, and the guy that actually was flying it, I got him to sign it down here and had it blown up at a place called Zarnowski here in Atlanta. But it was just one of those rare shots when you're just right there. They let us on the tarmac and it come right over me, so I got that shot of it sitting there. So just a cool shot to have. So
Got it.
Cool. Well,
No,
thanks,
that's
man.
great. So what about you, Crystal?
My name's Crystal Goslin. I live in the Cartersville area. I started with mortgages in 2007, back with One Main, previously known as type situation. A lot of buyouts, but been a great company. I worked with them for about 14 years, managed a location in Woodstock. About a year or so ago, knew James, started working with him, doing mortgages. So it went from lead based to self-generated. So it's been quite the change, but I've enjoyed it. Again, trying to touch on the training, everyone at the location in the Rhode Island office was absolutely amazing. They knew exactly what they were talking about and how to help us. So it's been quite the experience, and I look forward to working with you guys.
That's great. That's great. What about you, James?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Check 1, 2, check.
Gotta go up here to unmute.
Hey, James, can you hear us?
I think he muted himself again. He's muted.
Oh, I think he just unmuted himself. James, you there? No, I guess not.
He still shows muted.
Yeah, I kind of toggled.
Jimbo's unmute, buddy.
There he is.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody. We just had an enjoyable time in Providence and really enjoyed the training and all the personnel that assisted us. And I think the two people that have just spoken to you have shared our thoughts, and we're ready to get going.
Yes.
Like I said, I was looking for a warm and fuzzy feeling, and I really feel that we picked the spot. And we're proud to be part of the Sham fam.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, we're happy to have you, Jim. I think it's really great to have you guys here. Typically what we do is we use this time just to answer, whatever questions that the sales team have, make any announcements. There's not really many announcements to be made. I do want to encourage, I think I got an email from James Hayes, another employee down in Georgia, just requesting kind of a product summary of what our offering is that you can provide to realtors. Okay. And so I put that request in to see if we have any cut sheet. I know there are things that we need to sort of organize so that you can have things to then forward on to realtors. But I don't know if you showed a list of products to a realtor, I don't really necessarily know how helpful that is for the realtor. Would you guys find that helpful?
No, it's not, because everybody does the same thing. It's vanilla and chocolate. So it's not really going to be useful. I mean, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, USDA, everybody does the same thing. So, I mean, I personally don't send that out because it's not helpful.
I think
Yeah, I agree with Carlos. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I think letting people know that we do unwarrantable condos, construction to perm, like those are the things that not everybody does. But yeah, like Carlos said, it's pretty vanilla, but we do have a couple of like talking points that make us a little bit different.
Yeah.
That might have been what James was talking about, because that's what I'm getting from you is like, okay, here's a couple of nuggets. When you've got unwarrantable condos and things like that, Rick, that's going to be probably more of what James was talking about, is saying, okay, construction firm, unwarrantables, condos, probably 4 or 5 other things outside the Fannie Freddie vanilla chocolate things, and just get into some bones that just says, we got some cool products. Of course, send us what you got in the vanilla, but hey, here's some things that we do that probably nobody else around here does, and it'll give us a chance to get into those particular markets that sets that as a niche.
Yeah. Now, do you?
Good job for that.
Is this something that you would email or text or speak to a realtor, or an actual cut sheet you'd want to deliver to a realtor that would require some creative design or some marketing?
I mean, really, I just use it. I use it as a talking point. The unwarrantable condos is, it's a good talking point to the realtor, but most of the time you're kind of advertising to the borrower too, like especially with like our 80-10-10 products. A realtor is probably not even going to know what the hell that is, so it's,
that's right.
I just use them as talking points.
So, hey, Rick, it's James. I'm actually sitting with Jim, and I overheard that. What Rod went over, we were on a little training with him a while ago, and he went over inside of Byte, there's a thing called link training, and it pulled up every single product that I was talking about. That's what I wanted. It's so the loan officer could actually go in and see what we have, where to place a loan, what it is. It's not anything for the realtor. It's just for our knowledge where to place things.
There you go.
Got it. Okay. So I can outline like almost like what Sarah was saying, the non-warrantable condos, the construction to perm. Our construction to perm product is actually pretty competitive. I actually had a guy who represents a large lender in the western coast of Florida. And all he does is construction to perm. That's what he does for the bank, for this bank that he works with. And I had him talk directly to our rep for our construction to perm product, just to be able to compare notes, because I didn't even really know the product myself. I just rolled the product out about a month ago for Shamrock. And so I just wanted to understand how it lined up with what this guy that's all he sells, how it lined up. And he actually said it lined up extremely well, like very competitively, which surprised me, quite frankly. He thought that the LTV requirements on it were very liberal, or much less conservative than what I think we went up to 90% LTV. We did That particular outlet has Jumbo, has Jay Keel, you probably remember this almost better than I do, but was a Jumbo, FHA, and conventional. And he and the bank rep in Western Florida only did conventional, construction and perm. So the fact that we have the fact that you have a pretty strong product that's stronger than what some banks offer to builders directly kind of helped me gain some confidence in that particular product.
Rick, how would that work? Because I know, for example, here in South Florida, D.R. Horton, you have to be on their approved list, and they only have, I'm gonna tell you right now, they have less than 5 approved lenders that do business with them. So how would that work? Because we're going to start off as we're going to broker the deals. We're not going to be the correspondent lender on these deals.
It's kind of crazy because we're approved correspondent, but our first 10 deals have to be wholesale because they go through it and they evaluate the quality of those submissions. And then they turn us on to be fully delegated underwrite in-house.
Right.
And the wholesaler basically says you don't really gain any operational advantage. I mean, it feels better to be able to underwrite it yourself, but the guidelines are the same. I think probably on a good month, the turn times are probably the same. In other words, when they're not completely flooded. And then, what was it? What else did he say? And the pricing was effectively the same. They're basically delivering us one price, right? And as when we operated in house, that like $1,400-1,500 that we're paying them to underwrite it, we're keeping.
Right.
So the only real difference is really in the fee income. The pricing stack is the same, so it's not like we get a better pricing advantage as a result of underwriting it ourselves. So it kind of, because I was kind of shy of the fact that it was a wholesale relationship. I was shy because independent mortgage banks don't have the best reputation selling a construction to perm product. But when I had this guy representing a bank kind of look at it and be like, damn, you guys have a really competitive product, I thought, maybe I shouldn't be quite as shy about the fact that we have this product, assuming that it's not as good as others have, but it not only was it as good, but it was better.
I don't know, Jay and Joe have kind of really latched onto this, and I don't know if Jay, you want to talk about like signing up builders. So I know you and Joe were doing that.
Yeah, so Carlos, with yours on a DR Horton, they're not going to fill out a form. I would imagine that GSF is going to be okay with a big builder like that. They wouldn't need the application, but in general, the builder has to be approved. So up here in Maine, we don't have licensed builders. We just have a lot of pickup Pete's. There are big builders, but even big builders don't build more than 15 homes, 20 homes a year. It's just the market. But you have to go to them and you have to get them approved. Ideally, we'll have a few in the stable that will be approved that we can recommend buyers to, or people that want to build. But I think at least now, the way it's going to work, when we get a lead that wants to build, we have to, okay, who's your builder? Who are you going to work with? And then we have to go to them and get them approved before we start. I have one right now that's we're doing that with, and I'm not sure if it's going to go through because the buyer is okay. It's whether the builder's going to get approved or not. And then we had some others, mobile home dealers, manufactured home dealers that were just like, no, we're not going to fill out a form. We're not going to get on your list. And you're going to come across that, but it's not obnoxious. It's, you don't need the financials or anything. They have to pull credit. And I think that's the big thing, that the objection was that they don't want their credit pulled. But I understand that the GSF needs to make sure they're dealing with reputable people.
Do you know if they do mixed use construction?
I don't know, and we're not involved in it. But if they do, they might. Probably not, though. I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause that's a big market in the Florida Keys.
Yeah,
because you'll have a community that's a mobile home community, and then they've converted it to a mixed use where they're actually building homes, and then every landowner that has a mobile home it's in their bylaws. They have to remove the mobile home within 10 years. And then that's when they'll convert it to, I don't know if it's gonna be considered
I think
condos.
that's-
If they're gonna do it as condos.
I think that's out of their 9-month window for the construction to perm project to be done.
Yeah, 10 years.
No,
I-
no, on
I
the
think-
contrary, Rick, they fly. Those builders fly with those homes. I mean, now it slows down because hurricane season, but I mean, they build those homes in 3-4 months. They fly. And there's nobody in those
I know, but they have
communities.
to
I'll tell you
wait.
this because
Oh, so they build the home and then they get rid of the trailer within 10 years?
they get rid of the trailer.
Oh.
They start building the home and they build in 3 or 4 months. And
Yeah.
there's nobody in there because I know a lot of those loans that are being done in those communities are hard money loans, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Because there's no financing in the local market and nobody wants to finance them. So
Yeah.
that might be an opportunity for us because they're building them before 9 months. They build them really fast.
But you're saying mixed use. When I hear mixed use, I think commercial and residential mixed. You mean different housing types?
Correct. But if you look at the zoning, it's mixed use. The zoning is mixed use.
Oh.
I own a property there. That's why I tell you that, because I own a property there. I've owned it since 95. I don't use it anymore because it's the ex-wives now. So, but I have a trailer there. I have a 40-foot Nomad trailer there that I have there. I'm not going to build. She's not going to build. But in the community, there's 3-story homes in the area. So they zone it mixed use, but the association is forcing everybody to remove the mobile home in 10 years. You have to remove it. It's in the bylaws. So when that happens, it's probably going to be zoned condo. It'll probably more than likely be zoned as a condo. So
The way that they would handle that is they wouldn't want, because it would be a conforming product, they would want the mobile removed before the end of the construction.
Correct.
So it would be, yeah, they could do it, but it would have to be removed, budgeted in.
right.
I'm gonna
And they
interrupt
have to-
real quick.
Yeah,
I'm
Crystal,
gonna
go
have
ahead.
to drop. I have an internet technician here that's having to do the repairs. He's about to have to shut my internet connection down. So I'm gonna have to drop off this call and I will meet up with you guys next Tuesday and get all the updates. Marshall, take good notes for me and I'll talk to you a little later, okay?
I see.
Thank you,
All right,
Crystal.
great. Thanks, you guys. All right, bye-bye.
Perfect. So on that particular product, we have this is for James and Marshall's benefit, but also anyone else who wants to relook at it. We did do a recorded review of the product with the rep, and we have that on file, which we could send out. And I'll make sure that that Marshall, that you and Jim, is it Jim or James?
It's Mr. Boggs. No, I'm teasing. It's Jim.
Got
I'm
it.
the
Jim,
oldest
thanks.
one in the crowd. The reason
Jim.
my picture's not up is because y'all make me look old. You know that? Especially the gal way over on the far right.
I won't take offense to that. I was assuming you were referring to me, but just not the gal part. Thanks,
No,
Jim.
I was talking about me. I'm the oldest.
But I'll send out the recorded video about the product that goes into the details of the product. And my thing is, if I'm a loan officer and I make a switch to a lender, like kind of to, I think it was maybe Jay's point or Carlos's point, pretty much all the lenders provide the same products for the most part. Everyone does jumbo, everyone does FHA conventional, everyone does, quite frankly, everyone does non-warrantable condos, except for banks. Most traditional banks typically will shy away from non-warrantable condos. But to Sarah's point, it is a differentiator because there are small brokers and there's small independent mortgage banks who don't use non-warrantable condos. The construction to perm piece is where we get very unique. That is where it becomes kind of a unique differentiator, because that is something that most independent mortgage banks do not offer very competitively. Okay. And but it all depends on before you talk about your lender, ask who it is that they're using. Just be like, look, perhaps you're using a great lender. Who are you presently using? And they'll say, Movement Mortgage Academy, and then they might say two other independents. And the real key is to try to zero in on, because we will stack up very well to any traditional bank. for the most part, except for like high-end jumbo, we will stack up very, very competitively to be much more aggressive operationally when we stack up against the depositories. The independent mortgage banks, academies, and guaranteed rates and movements and so on, we should stack up really competitively to them. The question is whether or not they're having any issues, number one. And number two, if they're not having any issues, ask them how we can improve their business. How can we work with them to improve their business? We're going to do a few calls here like we did last week. And I'll give you a few of the scenarios behind the conversations with the realtors. But I'm going to zero in on, I don't know if I could improve your circumstance. I don't know if you're having any pain. And I don't really know how invested the lender is into your business. How are they working with you to grow your listings? I mean, let's face it, if we help our realtor partners grow, we don't get paid unless they get paid. So the more they get paid, the more we get paid if they use us. So why don't we sit there and say, like, what can we do to extend your services, to provide you with something above and beyond to the consumer from a service standpoint that would set you apart so you can get more listings? I talked to a realtor earlier today, and she's like, I would really love to send flowers to my borrowers 30 days after closing. Done. We can do that. That's a $35, $40 investment. I would have no problems doing that. And she's like, you would do that? I'm like, yes. I'm like, it's not a quid pro quo. It's really is, if you use us, here's what we can do for our borrowers. Because then they're our clients too. So shoot. But the key is not to just give it away. The key is, does this resonate with you? If you don't really care about flowers and the borrower, then don't bother, right? Like I said last week, it could be a date night. I talked to one realtor last week, and the realtor was like, I'd love to be able to take out my clients out to dinner 30 days after closing as kind of like a gift from me to them. And I said, well, why don't we just split that? A $300 dinner, we'll pitch it $150, or maybe we can do all 300 of it, and you can do the marketing of it, where you're handing out a gift card or whatever the case may be. But the point is, those are little things that we can offer to support the realtor so that the realtor then translate that value to their clients. But if we don't have that conversation, if we don't leave it in the voicemail, if we don't send it in the email, if we don't tell them that in the conversation, and if all we're doing is providing a competitive rate on time, that's where we get into vanilla territory, because everyone pretty much says that. The key is like, well, okay, competitive rate's fine, but what if you don't do it on time? What then? So maybe there's a contingency. Maybe there's, if we drop the ball, not the consumer or a third party, title or appraisal, but if we drop the ball, maybe there's something we could do for the consumer, and then we sort of arrange that up front with the realtor. But it just all depends on the realtor and the conversation you have with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you don't have the conversation with the realtor, it's just simply not, you just simply won't know, and sometimes they won't give you the time of day because they're so tight with their lender, and that's okay. At some point they might run into an operating snag. They might run into some issue. Every relationship's on a business side, they always run into snags. And if you're kind of touching those realtors in your market occasionally enough where you become top of mind, as a result of that snag, then that's a perfect window, perfect opportunity.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
From just adding to that is, a lot of times the broker, if you can reach out to the broker even more so than the agent, he'll lead you to the guys that need the most help. And I think that was my things Jim and I were talking about is, really all we're looking for is one. From that broker to saying, if I can take Lamar Long from school bus driver to superstar in real estate, by providing these products and services, we can do that for the low guy on the totem pole. We can absolutely do that for your top producer, but we're just looking for that, we're looking for that, for that opportunity. And I think that that's something that, the flowers and education and, things that we can, take into these guys with these products. It's huge, but it's where do you start and how do you get a good audience? And most of the time, those new ones are hungry and aggressive, and they'll learn from you and they'll listen. Where sometimes if they start seeing those new guys doing good, then believe it or not, the top producers will come down and be like, what's going on here? I'm missing out on something. Who is this guy? What are you doing? So it's a good way to approach, to me, don't exclude the broker. He may know a little bit more about what's going on with that agent and help you guide that person into, where he's getting his business and, how you can do to help him grow, maybe, through those legs,
Yeah. I mean, the key is just helping extend, because of course the broker's great because the broker really gets paid if we can help, the agents as a whole within that broker shop grow their listing or become a little bit more
Yes.
attractive, right? So I think being able to offer something like that or just brainstorm, I think really, really will help. I mean, it will absolutely help. There's no questions about it. In my conversations with these realtors, my problem is I'm not, my dedicated full-time job is not as a loan officer. So my follow through can't be as good as yours, right? Your follow through as loan officer has to be tight because it's a competitive market, right? But it has to be tight. Like if I'm, like here's a good example. If I'm Pat Labrada in Key West, Florida, like I would almost want to instill fear in the realtor or the broker to say, why would you risk going with anyone else? I've been in this business a long time. It's kind of like that State Farm commercial. Like I've seen a thing or two, I've done a thing or two or whatever. It's like, I've seen every borrower scenario you could throw at me. Why would you risk it with a loan officer or an organization that hasn't? I could fit every round peg in a square hole. I will figure it out. Just give me a call, give me a try. Someone like Pat exudes sort of the experience around the business. And if I'm a realtor in a competitive market, I don't want to take the risk going with somebody I don't know or an organization that may not deliver. Lori, I probably would really try to sell hard Terry and Terry's experience and the kind of the team around you, because young people like you and I, we have a little bit of a disadvantage, right? We're super young, we're super good looking. I mean, this is the problems we have, every day. And so, but we have to understand realistically what are our strengths and what are our potential obstacles to the sale, right? And what I love about Terry and you and Catherine, I don't even know her and I think she's phenomenal, right? Did you work with Catherine prior?
I did not, but just the wealth of knowledge that she has coming from the department she was in at Bethpage, I've heard wonderful things about her. So between the two of them, I just kind of gonna leverage them even when I meet with realtors and stuff. I want one of them to be a part of it just so that I have that support and that industry experience that they both have for so long, kind of as a selling point for what I do going forward as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I would leverage your assets, right? And Terry's a huge asset. Catherine is a huge asset. I mean, Catherine is her support and her communication and her ability to make sure that the realtors are always plugged into the process. I mean, one of the greatest problems that realtors have is they're always lied to by loan officers and they don't know what the process is. And when there are problems, they're the last to know, right? And the consumer finds out, and then the consumer will complain to the realtor, and the realtor will say, "I had no idea. I'm not in the loop. I'm not." And then the realtor looks foolish, and then the loan officer gets the brunt of that rage. And it should be totally the opposite. The realtor should be absolutely on the front line to say, "Look, if there's a problem with this file, I want you to be the first to know, so we as salespeople can figure out the best way of positioning this with the client." Because there might be problems we can avoid just by working it out between us. It could be like I had one deal not too long ago where there was a delayed closing And I called the realtor and I said, look, you know what, I forget, it was like 3 or 4 days or maybe 4 or 5 days. I forget what it was, but it required for the realtor to cut her commission. And then we, we provided some extra cash, not even cash at the closing table, but I called the realtor and said, look, I'll put you in a hotel for 4 nights. Don't you worry about it. It'll have a pool for your kids. I'll make sure you're not in some motel and it's going to be okay. Right. And so, but I had pre-planned that conversation with the realtor in advance. And then that way, when we went to the consumer, we're like, this is a problem, but guess what? We have a solution for you. Here's the pain and here's the antidote. I don't like delivering pain without an antidote. So I like, you know, and in that time, in that case there, it was, we got you, don't worry about it. These things happen, it's going to be okay. You know, but then I made an operating, something that we did probably not great on the file, by having an issue on the delayed closing, but I made a mistake. I made a mistake turn into something that turned into a great opportunity to make the realtor shine. And as a result, we got like a 5-star review. We're the best. And, you know, you would have thought that we did everything right for the borrower, and we didn't. You
Hey,
know,
Rick,
yo, who is it? Who said that?
co-branding,
Oh, Jim.
Jim Boggs.
Yeah.
Call me Jim. So
Yeah,
we got the WOW program, which wowed me. Okay.
Yeah.
The co-branding.
Yeah.
$100 for 2 years of co-branding with the realtor.
That's right.
Great deal.
Yeah. You know, there's another program that I'm going to be rolling out here soon, and it actually does a co-branded campaign for 3 years and 5 years post-close. And it'll be co-branded with Jay Keel's beautiful face and his realtor, right? And so that way, you know, every month there's an email and or a direct mail piece that goes to the consumer, and it's throughout the entire calendar. For 3 years, there's an opt-in for 3 and an opt-in for 5. If that's something, you know, so that program will roll out at the end of June. But it's a phenomenal, attractive quality to say, look, I want to take over your cost of marketing. I want to make marketing cheap for you. It's going to be free. Every deal that we work on together, I'm going to market to them with you or without you. Would you like to be a part of that? With our WOW program for what Jim, it's 24 months, our WOW program, right?
24.
Correct.
24?
24 months.
And the cool thing about that is, I mean, they get like, I think like a Lowe's gift card and they get all their Home Depot, sorry, Jim. Home Depot's based in Georgia. That's why I said that.
Hey, I'll review it with you. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead and speak it.
Okay, 2 weeks after the closing, 20 just moved postcards, handwritten. 2 months,
Yeah.
personalized slate coasters, nice gift, co-branded. 6 months, a $10 Home Depot gift card. 9 months, a $15 Fandango gift card. Everybody can use one of those, right? 12 months, a $15 restaurant gift card. 18 months, a $10 Amazon gift card. 24 months, just exactly what you've been waiting for, a $10 Starbucks gift card. That'll get you 1 cup of coffee, right? And
love it.
if you can make that 3 years, if you can make that 3 years or 5 years, I'm used to paying $90 per lead just to be able to send out a birthday card and remember that date. Thank you.
Cherish, what do you think? You know, I mean, it's a pretty cool program, and it's amazing to me the number of loan officers who don't communicate that program to realtors. This is a co-branded campaign for 24 months. You know, in every single, like 100% of my voicemail, emails, and conversations, I would absolutely put that in the campaign or in your conversation. Like I would not omit that from the pitch. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple realtor phone calls right now. And what I did last week, and Lori and Marshall and Jim, for your benefit, what I do is I do the call right here live. If you can try to minimize your chatter so that way, because they'll hear it. But so what I wanted to do is I wanted to turn to Carlos. Carlos, this is a good time for me to call David?
Yeah, I think he should be available. He should be
Okay.
available.
And basically set the context of David. David is a realtor that gives you kind of a deal here or there, but you're not penetrating enough business from David, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the next phone call, so we'll do this one, and the next one, I want to do one of Tony's, and it looks like Tony dropped off, ironically enough. But I'm going to do one of Tony's, and oh, there you are. Okay.
Had to yell at my kids real fast. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Trust me, if there's anything I understand, it's that. So we'll do one of Tony's next, and one of Tony's is good because it's a realtor that he let down at another lender, and the realtor cut him off and said, "Tony, I'll never use you again," right? And I'm probably embellishing the story a little bit, Tony, but basically the realtors wouldn't even return his phone calls, said, "I'm not going to use you ever again." And then Tony reached out to her saying, "Look, I'm going to a new company. It's going to be different, I promise." And the realtor said, "Maybe," type of thing. So that's going to be a very relatable situation that we've all sort of encountered with realtors. You guys ready? Sarah Bear, you ready? You excited? Hopefully you can hear this. I'm not sure. Hi, David. This is
Rick. Can you?
Hey, David, are you there? Hey, David, this is Rick Rock. I'm an executive at Shamrock Home Loans. I understand that you work or someone in your market by the name of Carlos Ferber. He's one of our senior mortgage bankers right there in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I'm actually meeting with him for lunch tomorrow.
That's fantastic. What I do is I tend to reach out to realtors across the United States. I'm up at our corporate offices up in New England, but I know the Miami market very, very well. I travel down there quite a bit. We work with realtors and working to build a closer relationship with builders down there as well. I just wanted to see how I can help you. As an executive for the company, how can I best support you and support Carlos to make sure that your loans close on time and your borrowers are best served?
Well, I mean, that's just it right there. I mean, close on time and do the best thing for our clients. And I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your name. The line was cutting out.
No, that's okay. I'll make sure you have it. My name is Rick Rock. And
All right, Rick.
yeah.
Hey, Rick, I'm literally just pulling into an appointment and the seller is waiting for me inside. So can we maybe talk at a later time, either today or tomorrow? Probably tomorrow's best.
What time good tomorrow? What time is good for you?
Tomorrow morning would be fine. Anytime tomorrow morning, my calendar. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Maybe I should look at my calendar. Hey, could you do me a favor? Text me your number and I'll call you back and give you kind of like a window exactly when's best for me.
David, you're professional and I appreciate that. And I look forward to talking with you. I'll text you my information and good luck at your appointment.
Appreciate it, Rick. Thanks.
Take care, David.
You too.
So
He's a good guy.
So one of the things of and there was another loan officer I was working with earlier. In fact, I think it was you, Carlos, actually, where the realtor kind of said, "Hey, I'll give you a call next week," or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And you probably, I'm sure you already knew this, Carlos, but it's one of those things that nobody likes to say no. Nobody likes to let anyone down. Generally speaking, you're always going to get those people who say, "Hey, Sarah, like, I'm good. Don't bother me. You're harassing me and I hate you and just don't call me again." Okay. Like you're always going to get those abrasive kind of pricks, and that's okay, right? But for the most part, people like to let other people down easy, and they end up just saying, "Yeah, I'll give you a call next week," and then they just never really call, right? So whenever somebody says, "Why don't you give me a call another time?" I try never, but I try not to say, "Okay, great," and then I hang up the phone. I always try to lock them down to a sense of commitment. When would you like me to call you? Oh, tomorrow? What time tomorrow? Oh, sometime in the morning. What time in the morning? How about 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock is good. Oh, wait, no, 8:45 is better because I have a 9. Okay, that's fine. I'll call you at 8:45. Thank you very much. I always try to get that sense of commitment because when people commit, there's something about committing to a date and a time, even if they don't want to do business with you, they will follow through on that. Your fallout rate will be minimal, maybe 30%. 2/3 or more will follow up for that appointment. And then generally speaking, if somebody blows me off at a scheduled appointment, I will call them very politely and I'll say, "Marshall, we had a 1 o'clock call and I like all valued clients of mine, I really plan my entire day around meeting with them at the time that I meet with them. And I know we had a call at 1 o'clock and I was really planning my whole day around talking to you at 1 o'clock. It looks like something may have come up." And that pregnant pause is important because it holds them accountable. And then you
Right.
kind of spill into, remember pain and the remedy, the antidote? Instill a sense of pain because they need to feel it because they blew you off. But then go in and say, "Well, I have time right now, or perhaps another time might work better for you. But I want to make sure it's a good time for you so we can prioritize this because I want to help you grow your business." And then they'll reschedule the
Right.
call. Then more than likely they'll feel enough guilt to show up for that second call. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But that
I-
commitment's
one of the
important. Tony, go
one,
ahead.
one of the things that I've done in the past is, when I've got somebody who's like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Give me a call, later or tomorrow." Hey, great. You know what? Let me pull up, just kind of like what the realtor did. Let me pull up my calendar real fast. Okay. It looks like I'm free tomorrow at 10 a.m. and 1:30. Which one of those times works better for you? One, like you said, it locks them down. And two, makes it sound like, you know what? My entire world does not revolve around you. I've got other business that I'm, focusing on. I'm making time to squeeze you in. So let me know what time works best for you, and I'll make sure that you're on my calendar. And then as soon as I hang up the phone, within the next 5 minutes, they're getting an email calendar reminder. So it'll ding on their phone, 15 minutes before the meeting.
I love it. I think that's all fantastic. Now go ahead and set the stage. Did I set the stage correctly, Tony, in that one client?
Yeah,
Tennille
yeah,
Rosca?
absolutely. Yeah, she's probably on her 15th cup of coffee by now, probably. So she's definitely out there. But yeah, it was a broker deal with Carrington. If any of y'all have ever worked with Carrington, they do the loans that nobody wants to touch, and they drop the ball. And as loan officers, that's on us. That's on our shoulders. And I kept telling her, throughout the entire process, kept communicating when something came up. She was my first phone call because I didn't want to spring a surprise on her. But ultimately, even with her, yeah, I get it. It's the underwriter. It's not you. Like you said, once they got approved and closed with another lender, those phone conversations and text replies definitely came to a stop.
Okay, good. Well, how badly does she hate you, Tony? I want to know what I'm walking into.
I don't think, definitely not on a personal level. In fact, I noticed she liked one of my posts on Facebook the other day. It wasn't business related, but so she definitely didn't unfollow me. That's for sure.
I've had a few of those myself.
Yeah.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Tony's realtor right now, Tennille, and we'll see. It is Tennille, is that correct? Okay, here we go. Because I want to know how we can improve the working relationship with her.
This is Janelle.
Hi, Tanel. This is Rick Rock. I'm an executive at Shamrock Home Loans. I got your phone number from a very good friend of yours in your local market named Tony Jeremko. And I say that a little tongue in cheek. I don't know how close you guys are, but he gave me your phone number. I liked, my sister lives in Tennessee, up in Crossville, Tennessee. And I myself don't live in Tennessee, but I like to network with realtors in Tennessee on how we can best kind of support you in how you support your clients. And I want to see how we can best support you as you work with your clients. How can we go above and beyond than the lenders you currently work with?
So, what do you mean?
Well,
Do you work with Tony?
So I'm one of the executives at Tony's company called Shamrock, based in Rhode Island. And what I like to do is connect with realtors around the country just to say, hey, we want to do more of your business, but we also want to figure out ways we could better support you above and beyond what other lenders support you at with your clients. And I'd love to have.
It's just a basic, yeah. Just keeping everybody informed and being able to get a hold of them and making sure things close. That's pretty much, I think that's the basic out of any realtor, what they're going to want from their lender.
So do you not get like real-time status updates on the status of your file, of your client for the most part?
For the most part, like with local lenders, they're different because you know them personally. They're not going to let anybody fall by the wayside. But I know not necessarily Shamrock. I've never worked with Shamrock before, but anybody that's not a local lender can let things fall by the wayside. I mean, Quicken Loans and stuff like that, I've had to beg for crap before that I don't have to do with local lenders.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. I don't know of any realtor who loves working with Quicken Loans or Bank of America or any sort of the national retail sort of banks. Those are always sort of difficult. Those are always difficult because it's so impersonal. So real-time communications, which is obviously something that we do. Obviously, Tony, we're building out our leadership presence in both the Nashville and the Knoxville markets and the rural markets around them, especially Memphis. I like Memphis, and I really would love to sort of build out our operations there. What about co-branding? Because I know for co-branding, we actually co-brand you to your clients for 2 years after closing. I don't know if Tony may have gone over that with you.
Yeah, I actually have that with a different marketing company where I do magazines with.
Oh, very good.
There's a couple other lenders that do that.
That's fantastic. The marketing company that you work with, is that something you pay for?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I do magazines with them, and they do my flyers for me or my postcards for me, and they do all of the marketing part of it for me. Even after they do my farming, and then they do it after. So that's just something I have like in a whole package.
That's fantastic. So that might be one area. It sounds like a couple of other lenders may do this for you as well. That might be one area that we also can measure up, because we do that as well. It won't cost you a penny, but we really personalize it. It's not a canned marketing service. There are handwritten notes that get sent to the consumer for 3 or 4 months after closing. They get cards from Home Depot and Amazon and Starbucks and this sort of thing, all on our behalf, our meaning you and I, to the consumer. So the consumer knows, hey, thank you for doing business with Tennille and of course with Shamrock Home Loans. And we hope that you think of us again, when that next opportunity might come up. If there's any other way, as you brainstorm this out with Tony, if there's any other way we can better support you, whether it's flowers after closing, or if there's anything that you can think of that really resonates within you so that you can differentiate yourself and get more listings, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. Okay. Go ahead.
Will you email me your information? Will you email me the information, like your information? I know I have Tony's, of course,
Yeah.
but if you want to email me your information as well.
Well, Tennille, not only will I do that, but I'm going to give you my personal cell phone. I'm going to text you right now as well. And if at any point in time during the process and working with Tony closely, that you get nervous or you can't get a hold of Tony or anything of that nature, I want you to call me.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I've always been able to get hold of Tony. That's never been an issue.
Well, I didn't suspect so, but have you met Tony's wife?
Yes, I have.
Oh, fantastic. Well, sometimes, she keeps Tony pretty busy. So, in the event that you can't get a hold of Tony, you can always get a hold of me. How about that?
That makes sense. That's great.
Okay, great, Tennille. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate, the work that you're doing for clients in your market. And I really want to do what I can do to help you grow your real estate practice. So let's put our heads
I
together.
appreciate that.
Okay?
Yes, sir. You just send me your stuff and I will start working it.
Thank you so much, Tennille. I really appreciate your time and I appreciate your future business.
You're very welcome and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Tennille.
Thank you. Be careful.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be careful.
Was that your way of saying I'm a slave driver?
Exactly. I know. I took a little bit of a jump there. I was actually happy that Tony, by me saying if Tony didn't get back to you, that was not a slam on you. That was me just kind of saying, if that was ever a fear of communication, because clearly it was a problem in the past where it was like, well, if you do what lenders are supposed to do, and that's communicate with me and give me updates on status and files. And so I was trying to remove that fear off the table to say, in the event that you ever could not get a hold of Tony, then you have me as a backup. And I want you to know that, and this is a way we can really tag team realtors from across the country. And believe it or not, Dean does this. Dean does these types of phone calls himself. He calls realtors as the founder of Shamrock. He'll randomly call realtors, and this is generally after closings. He'll call realtors to thank them for their business. And the loan officers are going to call and be like, dude, I got a call from your CEO. Like, I wasn't expecting that. That was kind of cool, but that was really strange because I've never gotten a call from a CEO before. And that's the kind of company we are. So what do you notice? What do you notice about my calls with the realtors?
One thing I liked there is you didn't bring up that specific moment, from the previous that, set.
Oh, you never do.
Pushed us apart.
Never. That's
because,
hey, Tony, I call that.
Because of that.
I call that like going on a first date and complaining about your ex. Right? The conversation just goes downhill fast, right? It just simply doesn't work. You never want to bring up pain, either your own pain, or you never want to remind them of a bad experience, because that emotion will translate on your conversation with that individual. Anyways, go ahead, Tony. I apologize.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And, obviously we remember, bad title companies, or we remember bad, listing agents who never communicate or anything like that. So, knowing how realtors are, she remembers that transaction, even though it was a year ago, she remembers that transaction. And so, like I said, I was glad and happy that specific event wasn't brought up. And I brought up with some of my other agents that I've sent you their information that, you're getting a team. Obviously I don't have any loans in processing yet, but I'll let folks know you're getting a dedicated processor. You're getting a dedicated underwriter. You have an executive, board of the company who might actually just start randomly reaching out to you and talking to you. I think when they hear that, they start to feel a little catered to, which of course for a realtor is huge.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that you start off the conversation saying you're an executive rather than the director of sales or regional manager, that's a big difference, because they're, some realtors are that way. They're like, oh, wow, like an executive from Shamrock is calling me. Let me hear what he has to say. And that kind of makes the conversation smooth, because you're listening to what their needs are. You're not selling them anything. You're really not selling anything to them. You're just listening to them. You want to reach out to them to see what we can do to earn their business. And it wasn't a sales call. It was not a sales call, which
So-
is perfect.
So if I were you, Carlos, or any one of you on the line, you could position it exactly the same way. And what I mean by
Mhm.
that is if I were Carlos, I'd say, look, I'm a member of the sales leadership team, because you're all sales leaders, right? And I would say I'm a member of the sales leadership team. I happen to live in your backyard, and I want to make sure that I never refer to myself as a loan officer. Always refer to yourself as a mortgage banker. And if you've been in the business a while, a senior mortgage banker.
Right.
You want to say I'm a mortgage banker. I'm a serious banker, and I'm here. I want to work with you to make you look better, but I also want to solve problems for your clients. And it's always with money. Their income is messy, their debt's messy, and I'm going to figure out a way to best organize all of that in a product that best fits them, right? So you can almost say the same thing, right? We are one of the oldest independent mortgage banks in the country. I'm on the senior, on the sales leadership team. I happen to live in your backyard, and I want to see how I can grow your business, because the best sales calls are the ones that aren't sales calls.
Right. Absolutely.
Because I'm still asking for the business. I'm still saying I want to help you with your future business. I want the
Right.
deals. I'm going to follow back up with him and say, did you give Tony a deal this week? Oh, you didn't. May I ask you why not? I'd love to help you. I'd love to shine. Give me one deal. How is this going to work? Why did you choose A over B over C? Because if I hold them politely accountable if shy of them saying, no, I'm never going to send you business, if they give me a window that they're possibly going to send me business, I'm going to hold them accountable to that promise in the most polite way possible. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
David Mazzell, you look like you're in a bar fight.
No, I'm just focused. I'm just very focused. And this thing, I have a deviated septum, so it helps me breathe. So
Okay.
I maybe look a little tired. I haven't gotten much sleep, but yeah. To comment on what you said, I like how you redirected. She was talking about, just the basics of communication, but then, you redirected to one of our strong points, which is, marketing after they close and the co-branded stuff. And she really liked that. And you were able to bounce off of that.
Well, what I will say is it's not uncommon for lenders to have a post-close sales and marketing campaign. It's very uncommon to have the personal touch that we have. Very, very uncommon. Like most just use third-party services, and they literally just, they're just canned products. We have people writing handwritten notes. Literally.
Right.
So this is a big deal, and it's very personal, because we believe the real estate transaction is a very personal process, and we want to communicate that intimacy of that transaction from you as the realtor and us as the lender to the consumer, right? And just as you start explaining it, they're going to be like, well, gosh, these other lenders do it too, but it's just different. It's just a different.
The other thing I think that you hit on too was, you asked her, and I mean, this is money to agents' ears. You asked her, oh, that marketing, well, are you paying for it? Yeah. The tone of her voice was almost like, yeah, why wouldn't I pay for it? Because that's how they're taught. That's part of their monthly budget as an individual. I've done a loan for a realtor before. Their budget is, marketing, and that comes out of their pocket. Well, if that's an extra $200 a month that we can keep in their pocket, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Pat, any way I could improve upon that? What are your thoughts, my man? Oh, I'm on mute. Sorry about.
No, yeah, I'm muted. I was having a little trouble hearing what she had to say. But like that gentleman said last week, you're the closer. He said, man, you're the closer. You're polished. I could tell that already. And but you're giving me some great ideas. Sometimes when you've been around this business for a long, long time, you get stale. And I didn't know whether I wanted to join in on these, but I'm really happy I am, because it's not only am I learning something new, but I'm getting reminded of things that I used to do.
Oh, sure.
Does that make sense? And so you get a little set in your ways and a little stale. And I think that, these kind of things are important. I like the approach. And I think that as you mentioned, double teaming, I think that helps a lot because it just shows that there's somebody that's got our back, and so.
Good.
Yep.
Look, Pat, I love having you on these because I do think that it can give you good ideas, but what's great about it though is that your experience is second to none, and any realtor, it's almost like in life when whenever you go to anyone, when you have a problem in your life and you go to someone who's just experienced, who's kind of been there, done that, I got you, don't worry. I've gone through the same problem and I've made it to the other side. You will too. Those types of emotional sentiments. You can really communicate that in a very convincing way. You sometimes not being polished. I think sometimes I talk too much or too fast, or I might sound too salesy, and that's when I start sounding less authentic. And my thing is, if I'm Sarah Bear, I'm going to say, hey, I have a bar, a full legit bar in my garage. I want to invite you over to my house and have a beer. And I want to talk about how we can grow our practice together. Like, you guys don't know this about Sarah, but she has literally like commercial grade, like bar in her garage. Like she spent a lot of money and it looks like a real bar. It could be a movie set for a bar. And if I'm you, Sarah, I'd be like, because you're a very intimate person. And I love that about you. And you shine when you connect with people heart to heart. I've known you 5 minutes and I know your soul when it comes to that stuff. And I believe that if you meet with realtors in your bar, over a drink, you're behind the counter, they're going to tell you their life story about problems they've had with their lenders. And I believe it's going to give you an opportunity to really connect with them to say, this is how we can work to support you. I'm telling you, your product is not the loan products we sell. Your product is you, and your product is your bar.
I have my attorney and a new realtor are coming over next week.
I would invite them all over all the time, and then I'd write off half your house. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to figure out your assets. Obviously, Marshall, I'm sure when you work with other veterans, you're talking up your work on military aircrafts. I mean, that's cool, right?
Right.
So
you just gotta have, I think to me, common ground of some sort and find it. It's whether what you do draws out their fire, or get them talking more about their self and find out what you can, do to fuel that. So I think to me that, I really like, the first guy kind of blew you off, and coming from working in a real estate office, I always say this, do not lie to a good liar. Okay. And so what I always used to tell my agents, I was like, look, I know you're busy, you're feeding the cat, whatever you're doing, but it's like, well, I'm with my seller right now, and I've just got to hang up, and it's like, that is so cheesy and such BS that, my main thing, I think you handled him fantastically. I think you had a great comeback for him. I think you were very polite. But again, you could almost feel that he felt the condemnation of his stupid statement. I think you did a great job on kind of calling him out, but just like, hey man, we're all feeding the cat. We're all getting ready to fix supper. Yeah, sure. I'm talking to the bride, but hey, let's talk about tomorrow. Great job on that. But I want to tell you, going back to Pat, I'll tell you, man, not everybody's been on stage, and not everybody's been on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. You need to be prepared to be on stage when you're talking to agents. And the cool things of it is at least maybe role play a few minutes, you know, in your head, what you're going to say to these cats before you go step in front of them and walk into an uppercut, or, you know, get blown off with some kind of, you know, oh, well, hey, yeah, you know, see, you're making me late for my appointment. I've got that silver waiting. He's like, oh, baloney. You know, but I think our things that, I know one thing, people pay good money to see the Eagles. You agree, Pat?
I'm sorry, what was that, Marshall?
I said, people is going to pay $600 to sit in the nosebleed section to see the Eagles, because they know that sound man and that videographer has got such a production ready that when they stand there and sing, they open the stage, the lights comes on, and the first words of "There Are Stars in the Southern Sky" of Seven Bridges Road opens the concert. They got you for the next 2 hours, right?
That's right.
But you go in there and you're sneezing, you know, you got your hair undid, you know, you're kind of all over the place on where the heck you're going with your conversation and what's going on. You know, they read that stuff, man. They read you like a cat. And then next thing you know, you're getting cut off to this next appointment. It's whatever. So have a good game plan and really be sincere in what you're trying to accomplish with these guys. But I tell you one thing, if all they're going to keep sending you is crap that they're still crying over from last year, it's kind of like my first and second ex-wife. Let them go. There's a reason why they've got an X in their first name, and let them go. Go find a good one, but find somebody that'll appreciate you and not fill you full of crap and send you a bunch of junk. But be thankful for a good loan officer and a good relationship, and you know, be aggressive of finding those people that are really eager to love you for who you are. And you know what? Hey, we all make mistakes, but it's not a pattern.
Yeah.
And do that. I think you did a fantastic job handling that, Cat. You know, just top notch. And you know, the lady was fantastic, and she was full in from hello. And I guess she realized that too. You could have talked to her for an hour, and she was all in. She loved everything you had to say. She was very energetic.
So she'll talk to a shoe for an hour if you give her the chance.
That's good.
Well,
She had good content.
And what's great about it though is if you value your time with the realtor, and you don't rush the realtor, but you tell them that you can value your time by telling them you respect theirs. And by respecting theirs, by keeping the conversations tight and focused around that deal, that borrower, that referral, and not just talking about, you know, the wind. I think that that can help keep things, because that could also be a diversion too. I'd rather talk about the deals I'm not going to give you. Let's talk about, you know, go hog hunting, you know, or whatever the case may be, right? But David, so I sent for Carlos, I sent my text message I sent to David was, you know, this is Dr. Rock, exec from Shamrock Home Loans. Shoot me a window for the morning. I look forward to it, and best of luck with your client. Now, if I don't hear from him, I will text him in the morning. You know, if I don't hear from him probably in 2 hours, I'll text him again to say, just following up. I want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. You know, don't forget to shoot me a time for the morning. If I don't hear from him, I'll follow up in the morning and say, I'm just following up in the morning. I know you said you wanted to connect in the morning. Do you have a window, 15-minute window? I'd love to connect, you know? And then the text I sent to Tennille was just, you know, this is Dr. Rock from executives, you know, from Shamrock. Shoot me a window for the morning. I look forward to it, and best of luck with your clients. Meet with Tony, and on the deal you give him, I will watch that client and borrower. Keep my number in case you need details on the loan status above what our loan status updates automatically provide. Thanks again, Rick. Okay. And again, if Tony doesn't get a deal, I don't know what her volume looks like, but if you don't get a deal in maybe a week or so, I'll call her and just say, do you have any deals for us? We're here to serve. You know, I'm a pitcher. I need baseballs. Do you have any balls for me? You know, if you give me an empty bucket, I got nothing to throw. You know? So anyways, any other questions? I know we went a little bit longer. We went about half an hour longer than we normally do, but I appreciated everyone's feedback and that sort of thing. Pat, time goes by fast when you're having a good time, doesn't it?
It does. You're getting old.
Exactly. Hey, everyone good? Okay.
Great job, Rick.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch. Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
No,
Great
Rick.
meeting.
Not a
Thanks,
problem,
Rick.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a great
See you,
night.
man.
Nice to meet everyone.
You too.
Good to meet you too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.